Can we get this fellow with the golden statue avatar?
Good evening, all. Hope this finds you well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Good to see you on stage, Devon, Christine. Y'all are having an excellent discussion about everything and nothing and in between.
Well, thank you.
I want to get your opinion on how important it is to liberate the creative mind and the storytellers as a form of defiance and rebellion against a system that wouldn't have us afford any accredited change.
Well, one thing I said previously in this discussion is that culture is upstream of everything. It affects how we think. So if we find like things in our way, obstacles in our way, systems, as you put it, which are created by people who want us to think in certain ways for their benefit rather than ours. And these can be of many natures. They can be political, they can be religious, they can be philosophies invented by degenerate. But whatever they are, the first thing that you have to do before you can oppose them is form that dissent in your own mind. You have to question something. You have to say, hey, wait a minute. Is this correct or not correct? And then you can say, hey, I don't agree with that. You can say, what if democracy isn't such a good idea? Or, what if the king really isn't appointed by God? Or to be able to have that in your own mind at first. And thinking outside the box is a huge leap, because what we hear often controls our language, and our language is what we think with, and it often controls how we think. So we need not only like the impetus to say we need to be able to consider the possibility that what we've been taught is wrong, and communicating with other people who think like that is one of the ways that this can happen. So it's very important, I think, not only to have these kinds of sources of creative dissent, but for them to be able to be heard by others. And one of the things that that I often sort of point out is that I think freedom of speech is maybe the wrong way to construe this idea that we have. I think maybe what we need to call it is the freedom to listen, because it's not just or primarily the freedom of the speaker to speak. It's the freedom of the listener to hear. So when you censor somebody, you're not just or primarily violating his rights. You're violating everyone's rights, because they might want to hear him. You've deprived them of the opportunity to hear him. But I think that we always need to be able to dissent, even when the system might end up being right. We need to test it empirically. We need to question it. Otherwise we may fall into errors we are unaware of.
Brilliantly said. It reminds me of something Terence McKenna once said, where he said, the world is made of language. And if you know the language, you can recreate the world, which is that's the proof that they've been using.
Yeah. That's a poetic way of putting it, but I think there's a certain deep validity to it, is that we as a species survived and grew and conquered by this technology called language that allows us to share each other's thoughts. And it is still the most powerful technology that we possess. And we can't allow others to unilaterally control it.